スノー兄さん。ただいま。
おい、腹減った。飯はなんだ？
今日は酢豚。
心読まないでよ、水死姉さん。
野菜はいらんから肉だけにしろ。
アシス姉さん。
今日のお日様はイチゴ味だよ。
いや、それは聞いてない。待ってて、すぐ準備するから。父さんと母さんは捕まった。彼らはいわばマッドサイエンティスト。彼らにとって僕たち兄弟は人体実験の道具で、僕だけは唯一の例外だった。
光合成のテストよ。あなたはこれから水しか飲んじゃダメ。
お疲れ様。ただいま。
よっと。
ありがとう、スノー兄さん。ただいま。
おい、腹減った。飯はなんだ？
今日は酢豚。
心読まないでよ、水死姉さん。
野菜はいらんから肉だけにしろ。
アシス姉さん。
今日のお日様はイチゴ味だよ。
いや、それは聞いてない。待ってて、すぐ準備するから。
気分悪くなってきたわ。早く抜かしてちょうだいよ。さあ、帰ってほしい。不釣りよ。汚い。気持ち悪い。消えてほしい。
This is really impressing me so far. I love how their designs get a lot across. This is something you don't see very often, but these characters have scars. Especially the women. The Spider Girl has scars down her eyes and down her arms. The Plant Woman has... I don't know how to explain it. It's like rougher skin, like her skin's been torn up and healed on her face. The kid has an X on his nose. The only ones who don't have scars, as far as I can tell, are the dog boy and the girl who can read minds. I just think that's really cool characterization, that just by looking at them, you can tell they've been through some shit. And it makes them a lot more understandable just on a personal level, but they're not overly designed. It's just a really cool aspect that you don't see very often. More characters should have scars. I think that really gets things across, and I love to see it. I'm only halfway through the first episode, but I'm loving this already. I can tell that the person who made this really knew what they were doing.
待ってて、すぐ準備するから。父さんと母さんは捕まった。彼らはいわばマッドサイエンティスト。彼らにとって僕たち兄弟は人体実験の道具で、僕だけは唯一の例外だった。僕たちはもう昔の生活には戻れないんだから。
一人で行くつもりかい？
普通の人間になるだとか、外に出るのだとか、もうたくさんだ。
でもほっとけないじゃない。僕が行く。
私たちの研究はお前が完成させるのだ。
僕は姉さんたちをもうあんな風に苦しませたくない。
お前の言う普通ってのはそもそも一体何だ？
結局そんなの僕の独りよがりだったんだね。
私が大事。
僕は姉さんのために言ってるんだ。このままじゃいつか大変なことになる。
そんなやべえ薬飲んでたまるか。バカ野郎。
おてんばさんね。私は大丈夫。お日様と水さえあれば。気配を感じる。この崖の下、そこにタニスがいる。
僕はみんなと一緒にいられればそれだけで嬉しいよ。
みんなと外の世界で生きてみたいと思ったんだ。
Anime Visor here with a review for Frankenstein Family. Yeah, it's definitely not afraid to get a little dark with its themes at times. Frankenstein Family in English, or Jikenhin Kazoku in Japanese, which would translate to something like Experimental Product Family, is based on a Taiwanese manhwa written by Yanai, titled Shiyon Pinji Ting. The manhwa started publishing in Japanese on October 21st, 2017, and an anime adaptation premiered on April 9th, 2018, and started streaming on Crunchyroll in the US on September 5th. Focusing on what Frankenstein Family is about, Tanasu's parents are mad scientists who live outside of normal society. They locked their own children up on an isolated island and did experiments on them in secret, turning Tanasu's older brother Snow and 3 older sisters, Aisuri, Ashisu, and Suishi, into strange creatures. One day, their parents were arrested, and their siblings were moved to another island by the welfare office. The trouble is, none of the siblings except Tanasu know how to interact in modern-day society. Frankenstein Family's themes can get a little dark. To overly simplify it, for those of you who have seen Fullmetal Alchemist, imagine Show Tucker, but 2 of them, and instead of experimenting on 1 kid, they experimented on 4 of them, and maybe all 5. Because there isn't anything that suggests Tanasu's genius isn't a product of his parents' experiments. It doesn't ever say he is one either, but only that he may, out of his siblings, find it easier to adapt to the outside world. Especially compared to his brother Snow, who can transform into a dog. If that's not shades of Tucker's experiment, I don't know what is. As well as his sister Aisuri, who is part spider, and easily the wild child of the bunch. Both of them have it pretty rough when trying to fit in since, well, to put it bluntly, they look the least human. Ashisu, who is part plant, also has a bit of the same problem, but can pass it off most of the time as a hair accessory. While there are no physical changes to Suishi, which makes her somewhat relatable to Tanasu, she can read people's minds, which leads her wanting to limit her interaction with other people most of the time. I very much enjoyed watching the family try to adapt to modern society, and the drama that would break out between them in trying to do so. This anime does sort of an interesting thing, in which even though the siblings are close and love and care for each other, there's still strife, and there's not really a solution to their problem. Society is most likely going to look down on them if they were discovered, and some company or country would want to run experiments on them. But with a little care taken before going out, they are able to seamlessly blend into society for the most part. Worst case scenario, there's always the medicine that temporarily turns them back human, but with some nasty side effects. The being different is always going to be a potential problem, but the best thing they can do as a family is to try their best. A lot of unsettling things have happened with the siblings, but together as a family they work together to get through it, despite, let's be honest, not having the best parents. Also, I gotta say, from what looks like their first work, Big Firebird Animation did a mostly pretty good job animating this series. Some nice backgrounds, some good animation and cinematography. Color me impressed. I don't know. Maybe. It's just an expression. Anyway, I was surprised at the quality of animation for the most part. So much so, I was actually looking for it to take a dip in quality. It does, but much later than I thought it would. It stays pretty good through most of its run. However, in some of the later episodes, continuity errors with Aisuri's legs start to happen, where they didn't before. Sometimes her legs would be there, and then they wouldn't, or suddenly her backpack would appear. Stuff like that. And the quality of the animation seemed to drop a bit by the end, compared to the start of the series. But I want to make it clear, it's by no means bad, just not as good. It's still a surprisingly very polished anime that unfortunately didn't or hasn't received a lot of attention. I praise this anime for its family dynamic and its darker themes. It's still trying to deliver a positive message, especially during episodes 6 and 7. I don't want to make it sound like this is the peak of the series, but it is my favorite part of the series, as we start to get a lot of details about what Tanasu's parents were doing, as well as the risks of the medicine. But what I liked so much compared to the other parts of the anime was it showing the special dynamic between Aisuri and Ashisu. While they all are siblings, the 2 of them have a special bond that the others don't. That they are, and this will be a slight spoiler, actually twins. And I guess you could say they used to be identical twins before their parents experimented on them, and Aisuri had that accident with the hair dye. And because of that, they never really got to play the tricks identical twins are wont to do. It's a bit sad in one aspect, but also kind of sweet that despite no matter what they look like, their big brother Snow knows who is who. Why? Because he's their brother. At any rate, Frankenstein Family does a good job at showing the family dynamic between brothers and sisters in general, but but does an even better job at showing the special bond between twins. So yeah, I very much enjoyed Frankenstein Family. I like the animation and style for the most part. I love some of the darker themes tied with a positive family message. It does a lot of things well, it's just a shame it doesn't get more attention. Well, its delayed streaming in the US didn't help. Being done by an unknown animation studio doesn't help either. There's also the runtime, which is 15 minutes, making this essentially a short anime, which never do as well outside your Inferno Cop or your Space Patrol Luluco. Technically, if you watch it on Crunchyroll, they are still 24-minute episodes, but that extra time is dedicated to cast and crew interviews, which can be fun and entertaining in their own right for people like me who like to know the process of how a show is made, but it isn't for everyone, and something like that is usually used as DVD or Blu-ray extras, not to pad the length of an episode. But if there's anything I don't like about Frankenstein Family, it's the ending. It's not so much as rushed as abruptly ends. 1 minute they're talking about whether or not they should go ahead and tell the landlord about their bodies. Suishi collapses after getting overloaded with what the landlord was thinking they were going to tell him, and that's how it ends. It's kind of frustrating because up until that point, I was quite enjoying this anime. Even the conversation about telling the landlord was intriguing and engaging, but it just cuts to Sayori Hayami, Ashisu's voice actress, talking about her role. No disrespect to Sayori Hayami, but I wanted to see them tell the landlord about themselves, showing that they trusted someone outside the family, seeing growth and development of the characters. Unfortunately, we don't get that. But hey, at least Sayori had fun recording her lines with Nanako Mori, aka Isari's voice actress. So as much as I've mostly enjoyed and praised Frankenstein Family for the things it does well, it has its fair share of problems. I do think it's worth checking out because of its ability to show darker themes, but having characters try to stay positive about it, as well as having some good animation and cinematography, even if the anime just ends and the Crunchyroll stream is a bit heavy on cast and crew interviews. As I've mentioned, Frankenstein Family is available for streaming on Crunchyroll, link down in the description. I'll also have a My Anime List link as well, in case you're interested in a little more information on it. Go ahead and let us know your thoughts on Frankenstein Family in the comments below. As always, I've been Anime Visor. Thanks for watching. Don't perform illegal scientific experiments on your children, and goodbye.